I still remember the day everything changed in our village. It started with the sun hotter than it had ever been before. The river, once full and flowing, began to dry up. The yams we planted refused to grow. Our animals became weak, and people whispered that the gods were angry. But I knew the truth. It wasn't the gods. It was because of what the chief had done. My name is Adebayo. I grew up in Akinra, a small but proud village in the heart of Yoruba land. We were simple people, farmers, traders, and hunters. Life was not always easy, but we had enough. Our village had something special, something that made us different from others. There was a sacred talisman, an old, carved stone that had been in our village for generations. It was small, with ancient marks on it, and it was kept in a shrine at the center of the village. Our elders said it was not just a stone. It was a gift from our ancestors, a symbol of our unity. As long as it remained in the village, we would have peace and plenty. Nobody touched it. Nobody even questioned its power. But that changed when Chief Gbadamosi became the leader of our village. Chief Gbadamosi was not like the chiefs before him. He was not satisfied with enough, he wanted more. More money, more land, more respect. He dressed in the finest clothes, wore gold on his fingers, and sat in the biggest house. People feared him, but they also envied him. He was powerful, and in our village, power was everything. One night, I overheard something I was never meant to hear. I had been sent by my mother to fetch water, but as I passed the chief's compound, I heard voices. I knew it was wrong to eavesdrop, but something made me stop. The talisman is wasted in that shrine, Chief Gbadamosi was saying. His voice was low but full of greed. If I take it, I can sell it to the white traders in the city. They say such things are valuable. But, my chief, it was the voice of Baba Ife, the oldest elder in our village. The talisman is not for sale. It belongs to the people. There was silence. Then the chief laughed. What have the people ever done for me? I ran home, my heart pounding. I wanted to tell someone, but who would believe me? Who would dare challenge the chief? The next morning, the talisman was gone. The shrine was empty. The elders gathered in the square, their faces heavy with worry. The people whispered among themselves. Some said the gods had taken it, others said it had been stolen. But I knew the truth. At first, nothing happened. Life continued as normal. The chief built a new palace. He wore even more gold. Some said he had traveled to the city and sold something important. I wanted to speak up, but I was just a boy. Who would listen to me? Then the river started drying up. The rain stopped coming. The crops refused to grow. People fell sick, one after the other. Something was wrong, but no one wanted to say it out loud. It wasn't until Baba Ife, the oldest man in the village, stood up one evening and spoke that everyone finally admitted the truth. The talisman has been taken, he said. His voice was weak, but his words were strong. And until it is returned, this village will suffer. I couldn't keep silent anymore. I had to do something. That night, I went to the chief's compound. I was afraid, but I reminded myself why I was doing this. If I didn't speak up, our village would continue to suffer. I waited outside the chief's window and listened. He was speaking with one of his guards. The people are starting to ask questions, the guard said. They will forget, the chief answered. They always do. I didn't wait to hear more. I ran back home and told my mother what I had heard. She held my hands tightly and looked at me. You must be careful, Adebayo, she said. But you must also be brave. The next morning, I gathered the elders and told them everything. At first, they didn't believe me. But Baba Ife, the wise elder, looked into my eyes and nodded. The boy speaks the truth, he said. Only the chief had reason to take the talisman. A silence fell over the village. Then, one by one, the people turned against the chief. They went to his palace, demanding answers. Chief Gbadamosi tried to deny it at first, but the pressure was too much. Finally, he admitted what he had done. "I sold it," he confessed, his voice shaking. "I didn't think it would matter." It did matter. The elders sent men to the city to track down the traders. It took weeks, but finally, they found the talisman. It was brought back to the village with great ceremony. When the talisman was placed back in the shrine, something changed. It was like a weight had been lifted. The next week, the rains came. The river began to flow again. The crops started to grow. The people healed. As for Chief Gbadamosi, he was removed from power. The village chose a new leader, one who understood that some things are more important than wealth. Looking back, I understand what this taught me. Greed can destroy even the strongest community. The chief had everything, but he wanted more, and in the end, he lost it all. The talisman was never about magic. It was about unity. As long as we believed in it, it kept us together. And that was something no amount of money could ever buy. Moral lesson. Greed leads to destruction. Wanting more than you need can make you lose everything. Honesty and courage matter. Even if you are young or powerless, speaking the truth can change the world. True wealth is not in money, but in the strength and unity of a community. This is my story. The story of my village. And the story of the forgotten talisman.